Hi, my name is Cameron Beckett, and I'm a ninth grade entrepreneurship and oral communications teacher at East Village Junior High in Little Rock. And I'm doing my project on Chapter 10. I decided to do a poem. Motivation. It's the $1 million puzzle that every teacher must solve because it's no simple task to get students' mind to evolve. And on top of that, every single student is unique, requiring different strategy, a different approach, then constant tweaks. In a sense, motivation is the vehicle that gets you from A to B. It gets you going in a direction and keeps you from wanting to flee. But where does motivation come from, you ask? That answer isn't easy. The sources are vast. But in an attempt to understand this ever important trait, a few curious souls theorized to set teachers straight. At first glance, the idea was that reinforcement was the center of this quandary. That motivation stems from what we reward, not things we fail to oversee. However, this idea is a bust. There's many factors at hand. To understand motivation, context must be sought to understand. Rewards and incentives, yeah, they can be great, but not every student sees them with the same weight. Saying this assignment will impact your grade, for some, may be all you need to say. But for the student who is neglected at home, do you really think grades are at the forefront of his or her dome? This guy named Maslow determined a tiering system for needs, stating that there are certain foundational things we need before we get into the weeds. If I'm going to worry about what Maslow calls growth needs or the need to know and understand, first I need to figure out where I'm going to sleep or what I'm going to eat or with which group I will stand. Another interesting point I'd like to address, have you ever noticed where people attribute failure versus success? When someone does something well, it's all about me, myself, and I. But when failure comes knocking, it's suddenly out of my control or because of that other guy. This is just a generalization of how many tend to react, but the research goes deeper, and others, there's a different impact. For some that have what's called internal locus of control, take ownership of their failure. Success they personally own. But on the external end of the tables are turned, success and failure become from other sources. Those weren't mine to earn. It's funny, but true. Everything these days is a formula with something to prove. But in this case, it's incredibly helpful, not something of excess. Motivation equals perceived probability of success times the incentive value of success. So what does this mean? What are these theorists working toward? In short, people's motivation is based on the reward. If a student doesn't have high belief they can succeed or they don't see the point, their lack of motivation may be something that disappoints. Think about it this way when determining the difficulty of your class. If it's too hard or too easy, student motivation will go in the trash. So make an A a challenge, but not an impossible feat. If a student can reach it, they are less likely to accept defeat. So with this information, what's our call to action? What's our action call? How do we enhance achievement motivation to eliminate the fall? Setting goals is a big start so students understand the purpose of school. Elevating students out of learned helplessness takes strategy and certain tools. In the end, students must see the value to be motivated to learn. May it be they're motivated by the task itself or little gold stars make them yearn. Regardless of the method, this is for sure, students need to be guided to success, and motivation is the cure. Thank you.